Hello, 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 and welcome to another episode of Oasis Wellness. We have Miss Whitney Washington here from actually the co-owner of Life Addicts, and we are going to dive into a fantastic topic today. But before we do that, how are you, Miss Whitney?
I am good. I'm doing well today. It's a great Friday. Even though the weather isn't amazing, it's still a great Friday because I've decided that that's what it's going to be.
Well, you know what? That is a part of overall wellness. Just making your decision and saying, hey, the sun is going to shine just because I walk in the room. How about that?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Absolutely. Well, we are not actually looking to, but we're starting a series on, overall wellness and forming this collaboration to bring you some good, solid information on, what it takes just to be well. And so before we get started, make sure that you like, share, and subscribe. And because this is right before Mother's Day, I want to wish all of our beautiful mothers a happy, happy, and safe and well Mother's Day. And happy Mother's Day to you too, Miss Whitney.
Thank you, Mama. Happy Mother's Day to you too.
Thank you. So let's jump into our topic of generational health. Let's talk about that. What does that look like to you?
That's a great question. I think when I think about generational health, a lot of times we talk about generational wealth and money and passing that along through, family and bloodline and all that stuff. But generational health to me, I think is a topic that is probably not really talked about. I don't think it's something that a lot of families dive into, and I don't believe it's intentionally. I think it's just not there's not enough awareness around generational health. And so for me, specifically generational health is like learning about the different not just the chronic illnesses that are passed along from one generation to the other, but like how to prevent that. I know that I was reading one book, Disease Delusion, and he was talking about this. Made me so happy. He was talking
Okay.
about how a lot of times we think that we are predisposed to specific conditions based on our DNA, and or that it's gonna happen because of our DNA. Oh, this was just in my family. Like heart disease, that just runs in my family. Diabetes, that just runs in my family. But he talks about overall DNA and like how, yes, you may be predisposed to certain things, but your decisions about how you live your life, about what you put in your mouth, about how you move your body, all those things can essentially alter the genetic expression of your DNA so that you don't end up like, this person or that person or that person, great grandma, great 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 grandma. Like we have more control than we think. And that just, I don't know, that really lit me up. It lit up my soul because it gave me like hope to share with people. Like just because so and so had this doesn't mean you have to. Like you're really in the driver's seat if you educate yourself on making proper decisions and choices.
Wow, I think that is, I mean, you just said a mouthful there. Go back to, our family. And, one of the reasons, well, one of the main reasons that I jumped into the naturopathic medicine arena was because I didn't understand how family members that were, on prescription medications daily, and we're talking about, 14, 15 and upward, in a number of prescriptions, but for them to be on prescriptions. And then it was a real sad time in our family when in 2007 we just started losing family members, back to back to back to back, and it just triggered something in me that they were all on prescription medications, but you're on high blood pressure medication and you're dying, of heart disease, or you're dying of, massive heart attacks, or diabetes, but or even the one of the worst, the cholesterol lowering medication, when our bodies do, you know, um, our bodies produce cholesterol. And so, it was just so many different things that just really bothered me about our family members, just passing back to back to back. And I wanted to understand. And then when I was in the accident and they gave me all these different medications and I didn't like the side effects, I was so in tune with not feeling, lethargic, or not feeling, just like, I mean, just out of my, just like I just couldn't stand it, and so, when I took a deep dive into the world of herbs and start understanding all of the fantastic benefits of herbs, it just, and we weren't taught that in our family. I don't know where it cut off from ancestry, but we just weren't taught those healthy habits. And so that's what made me get into like really understanding, and what you said about, educating yourself. That's the key. For the lack of knowledge, our people perish. And what you just said just wrapped all of that up, because we don't educate ourselves, or when we do, on the positive side of it, we find so much rich information on, what we can eat. And, I think we sometimes we focus on what we can't. Say, well, if I can't eat this, then what can I eat? People always say that I can't do this, but that's because they've had these unhealthy habits, and now the body is addicted to all of the sugar and all of the, the processed foods. Now there's an addiction to it. And so, I think what you just said, to tie it back to that generational health, having those different, like you said, inherent weaknesses in the body may be so. However, you do not have to suffer from the same ailments that, your parents or grandparents suffered.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's a lot of times things pass through culturally, right? It's like, well, because we've done it this way, culture is like language. We all, talk the same language. We all eat the same foods. We all do the same things. And so, like, habits are passed through culturally from generation to generation to generation. And I
Mhm.
think there's a stigma, and that something that we have to correct as a people in general is when we get on our family members for trying to make a different decision than what we've all always done as a family. Like, I
Mhm.
noticed for me, it was a struggle with my daughter. I have a 3-year-old daughter. My mom has a 3-year-old grandbaby. Um, but for me, it was a bit of a struggle because I'm very much so a non-confrontational person. It's just always been my spirit. I don't. But I noticed when my daughter was born, there were certain comments or just certain things that people would say, even when I was pregnant, about like, oh, well, you pregnant now, you can just eat what you want to eat because you're feeding you and that baby. Okay, but do I want to feed my baby fried chicken? Like, do I really want that inflammation in her body as an embryo? Like, why would I do that to
Right.
her?
Yeah.
Like, or even, getting older, people would be like, oh, get that baby some candy, give her a piece of cake, give her a this, give her that. And I'm like, I had to kind of step out of that passive and go into like this assertive protective mode, because we think about protecting our children from like walking into the street so they don't get hit by a car. That's life or death, right? But we don't think about not letting my kid not eat Takis for breakfast or hot Cheetos for breakfast. That's life or death too. And so for me, it was like, okay, I had to step up, like, as a woman and as a mom, and be like, well, I stand behind my decision to not give my child a cupcake like with the hunk of like dairy and sugar sitting on top, because she just doesn't want it. Like, because that's not how we've created her taste palette to be. And so now she'll go and she'll ask for like fruit. She'll ask for a smoothie. That's her. She calls them sumis, but nonetheless, she'll ask for a smoothie. Like, and she's not like a broccoli fanatic or anything like that. She's still a kid. She still likes, a sweet thing here or there, but I just didn't want to set her up for failure, having to fight cravings for sugar and processed foods as a 4-year-old, as a 5-year-old, and not being able to understand why, like, she can't walk past a donut without like having this psychological attachment to that thing sitting on the table. Like, I wanted her to be empowered to be like, no, I'm good. I don't want that. She still tells us that. We gave her a cookie. Like, there's this new cookie place, and we gave her a cookie. And tell me if I'm talking too much. But
No, you're full of wisdom.
oh, but we gave her we wanted to try this new cookie in the city, and we gave it to her, and she took a bite, and she was like, her face lit up, and then it went into a frown, and she just walked away. Like, I'm good. And I'm like, oh, that just made me so proud as a mom. Like, the fact that you can make a decision without being controlled by your cravings at 3.
You know what? That honestly, is so appropriate for our topic today, generational health, because that same thing, and I don't think I've ever shared this with you before, but the same thing happened to me. And, I had that spirit of, I'm non-confrontational, but when I have to, I will. I'll go there. But my preference is not to. But when it comes to your children, you are a mama bear over your cubs.
Yeah.
And so that, you know, that comes, that protectiveness comes up, you know. And so the same thing happened to me, and after the first time I've heard you express it, what happened to me when you were little. And so when you were a little girl, I started to want to know different, because I started to have a dislike for pork, so I got rid of the pork. Then I had a dislike for the beef. I mean, these things just, it just started happening. I just started losing a taste. And then when I started understanding how meat was processed, and how this animal, it was like a light bulb that came on. This was a living, breathing animal, and they had a mama and a daddy, and I just started having feeling for the animals. And so then I lost the taste for it. And then the last thing was chicken, and I love some lemon pepper chicken or barbecue chicken. That was like the last thing that and I'm still working on the seafood part of it, because I'm not perfect. I'm still working on that part of it. But because generationally, layers and layers of that, eating meat, this was a habit. This was what we did. And so when I, started to change things, and, like you said, you have a 3-year-old daughter. And so it was so many years ago that I said, okay, stop the presses, no more bacon, and that was hard too.
Yeah.
But I met with so much resistance, because it's like you're in a village, and you're supposed to do what all the village people do. And when you don't do that, you are set aside. I was nicknamed the space child, because I kept trying different things. But with my children, that was it. I drew the line there. Now, I protected my children more than I protected myself. And like you just said, it's just something about that. I believe it's their innocence, and their, it's like, oh no, I felt like God gave me these gifts, and I want to do the best that I can. But what you just did, you blessed my heart by saying that, you showed her, because this is what was one thing that I said, man, I wish I'd known then what I know now, because my children would have never been indoctrinated to the sugar, the white poisonous sugar, the white poisonous salt, or the pork, or the burgers, they would have never been. And so what you've just shown me is that thinking was correct, because when you wash the palate, or don't even introduce that to the palate, then it's like, wait, what is this?
Yeah.
And I love that. I heard baby girl asking for a carrot one day, and it just tickled me. I said, oh yes, thank you. So you kind of just proved that point that, I've been talking about forever. When you were little, my mom and everybody, they believed in pop, and, and all of that. And that's what I fought. Said, no, I'll bring you, 100% apple juice or 100% orange juice. Like, well, why can't she have pop? And no, I don't want to have pop. But at that point, it did mess with your stomach. So you had a very sensitive stomach growing up. And so I said vegetables or fruit, but then you bring her. If you wanted to eat something different, bring it. Okay, I'll bring it. So I get that. It was just funny, because that was it, I'd come around, and then people start to whisper, oh, that I'm being funny, or I'm being funny acting, or don't offer her meat, don't give her this. But I started paradigm shifting that, wow, what respect, they won't give me meat. What so respect, so I had to do a mindset shift, because I felt like I was the lone ranger on the island by myself, in the tribe, but by myself.
Yeah.
And it was funny, because I went on a family retreat with my cousins, and and it was funny, because I was making my green drink, and I always carry my herbs with me, and they were making all this other stuff, and they were like, oh, no way are we ever going to do that. We're not switching from that. Give up meat, are you crazy? No. And they're well, health issues started to happen. And so they remembered what I showed them when I was on vacation, and I really didn't want the meat. And so they did come to me. And now I have one right now. He no longer eats meat, because the meat was triggering uric acid and causing him painful gout. But it took that pain point for him to say, I'm not doing this anymore. And what can I do? And how can I be healthier? What can I, what was that? And so now he drinks green drink, y'all. I'm so proud of that. I'm so godly proud of that, because people will look at what you do, and they'll model what you do more so than what you say. So what I've learned too is that people are, when you're introducing new things to people, you can really make an enemy by trying to take away somebody's addiction, meaning their food. you
Yeah.
know so you
Yeah.
or talking to, or trying to tell them something different. So I've learned to live by example and
Hmm.
only help those that solicit the information from me. And
Yeah.
so as I'm living it, and maybe I'm talking about it as I'm living it, but I'm not force feeding anybody, because nobody wants you to push something on them. So what I had
Hmm.
to really learn, because it was really hard with me, especially with family, it was really, really hard for me to see them doing something that I know was going to cause detriment, or that I believe was going to cause detriment, and not
Yeah.
say something. But what I've learned is that it's like chocolate or vanilla. You choose which way you want to go. And I can just, offer up the information and live by the example, and, as results, people will say, well, no, why are you glowing? What's going on? Well, I'm drinking water. When I don't drink the
Yeah.
water, I dehydrate and I get very sick, and, oh, wait a minute. So that's all you're doing? You don't use any special kind of something or not? No, I just take my herbs and I, watch what I eat. And if you want me to help you, I'm available.
Yeah.
So I learned to not get upset and angry with people when they're doing their thing, because it's just going to be a different experience. You know,
Mm.
it's just going to be a
Right.
different experience. And, so that's just, that's kind of my take on it. But I'm so happy that I was able to and be a great example for you. And to know that, it's just been so important to me to live the legacy with my children and my children's children.
Hmm.
And I'm so happy that I'm able to witness that, those slight changes or those little tweaks made a huge difference. And now I'm seeing the result. And think about it. I kept saying, I'm going to be the difference in my family. I'm going to be the one to change it, even if I have to take the hard knocks and bruises. And
Yeah.
just to see that my grandbaby is growing up to that point of being able to make healthy decisions and healthy choices for herself. You have no idea how much that blessed me today.
That is that touches my heart. I think because I think I just realized it in us having this conversation that it was that, like, it wasn't even me deciding that that's the way I was going to be. It was me being your daughter, experiencing you deciding that's how it was going to be for me, that planted the seed that allowed me to then be comfortable being like, "Oh no, I have a memory of my mom doing this." A lot of times I think people don't do something because they've never seen it done before. But because you did it, I'd seen it done before, I'd experienced it, and I was like, oh no, this is a thing. Even though it's hard because it's a whole lot of people trying to say, make this, give her that. No, this is kind of normal because my mom already did that with me. So if I step out and do that with my daughter, it's not like I'm the first person doing this. Like, I saw her do that, I experienced what happened there. I feel more prepared to be able to step into that with my daughter. So really, even you saying you wish you would have known earlier, or
Mhm.
you wish you would have done something sooner, technically
Mhm.
you did, because you did that for us,
Wow.
for my daughter,
Right.
who from the beginning, like, she's never had a sip of milk her entire
Ooh,
life.
we. Oh my
Never had,
goodness.
like,
My goodness.
never.
And
And
you know
like,
what's, yeah. No, go
I
ahead.
just,
That's good.
I think for me, it really, I don't know. It's the, also motherhood, Mother's Day. It's just the gift of motherhood that just keeps on giving. Like, those lessons, those seeds, those things that you're not sure if it actually made a difference or is making a difference. Those things matter, and they're up here somewhere, and they'll come out. They'll come out slowly. It's like a slow release Tylenol. They'll come out over time, right? When they need to come out. So
Absolutely. Absolutely. I
yeah.
think the beauty of what we've embarked upon is so wonderful, because sometimes you just don't know,
Hmm.
like when you have so much resistance because of, like, again, generational bad information. I'll just say it,
Yeah.
because of that being perpetuated. And, something inside of me, and I'm just so grateful for it, said, no, this is not how I want to do things. This is not
Yeah.
how I'm going to do things. And so, not to belittle or put down anybody else's way of doing things, but this is what I saw. And the one thing that I think you guys are blessed with is to have a family that's embracing it together, because it's
Hmm.
challenging when looking to or wanting to do things in a healthier perspective, and your partner may not have got it yet. And everybody learns when they're ready to learn, or everybody accepts when they're ready, and
Yeah.
some people just aren't ready. And so the other thing, as we're talking about generational wealth, because what I'm building here is health and wealth together, and it's generational. And when you talk about the generational part, the one thing that truly that I've come into is amazing information on how to grow your money, and how to how the rich dad poor dad, how to actually live that rich dad poor dad out.
Yeah.
And so I think about some of the lessons that I've experienced, and when I came to, we're offering it in our program, and we also did a podcast the other day with a phenomenal woman. I've adopted her family because they are so amazing, and they're not afraid to show you what they did to get where they are, and to be
Mm-hmm.
transparent in the struggles to get there.
Yeah.
And one of the things that we shared was that, and something that you blessed me with, you said that, you know, the learning to exercise was one of the things when we were doing Taibo, in the living room. And then
Yeah.
it triggering that and learning that, and then understanding that you have that it developed a passion for you in the exercise arena, which developed into what you're doing now.
Mm-hmm.
So having those role models to help you and assist you along the way is something that's so key and important. And what
Yeah.
her name is Robbie Matthews, and she's going to come on, and she's going to give us more information. But she showed me some things that I'm so grateful that I have the opportunity to pass on to my children. Some of the things that I'm not able to do, I'm not just going to give a little piece of it, which is just amazing. It's called an IUL. It's a index. It's an index type of insurance policy that I'm
Mm-hmm.
learning with, but it's a living policy. See, we all think about it, and we've been taught generationally that insurance is basically for the death benefit, to be able to bury and to be able to
Mm-hmm.
have extra. But what I didn't know, and what I'm so excited about, is to know that you can actually, it's actually an investment that has living benefits. and
Yeah.
and and, and the thing that I want to express to everyone is that, um, understanding and learning at whatever age you are, because right now, because of my accident and because of my injuries, and because I didn't know sooner, I can't benefit from that. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I'm saying? I don't
Right.
qualify. But had I knew in my 20s or my 30s, then I could have had a living insurance policy that I could draw upon as I get older. And
Mm-hmm.
so what I've learned is that, again, generationally, I can pass these things on to my children, and then they'll help my grandchildren, and I can help them to set them up. See, for the lack of knowledge, our people perish. And it's so true. We struggle in our finances because our parents didn't know what to teach us. And so they taught us what they knew, which was to be a
Yeah.
consumer and to spend. They didn't teach us to invest. They didn't teach us these instruments because they didn't know. And now when
Yeah.
you get that information, it's so hard sometimes to even show your children certain things, because they've seen you knock your head against brick wall, against brick wall, against brick wall. So now when you come to them to tell them something, it's kind of like wonk, wonk, wonk. So you kind of have
Mm-hmm.
to be that example and walk through it as you're walking through it. And then they'll see it. So this generational thing, it is so wow. I'm telling you, it's profound to come
Yeah.
into better information and be able to say, wow, man, I wish I knew it over. I wish I knew now. Now I understand. I never knew what they meant when they said, I wish I knew now. I wish I knew now. I mean,
What
yeah,
you
no,
knew
I wish I
then.
knew then what I know now. Thank you for the
Uh-huh.
help. See,
Yes.
I wish I had knew then what I know now.
Yeah. And I think for people that are, because sometimes it can also feel like, I want to change. Like, I want this better information. I want to do something different. But I've tried, and I feel like a failure because everything I tried either didn't work, or I wasn't able to, like, stick with it, or just whatever it was. But a lot of times, this is something I learned studying cognitive behavioral therapy,
Okay.
essentially big word for how do people change, right, in
Okay.
psychology. And so one of the theories there is the transtheoretical model, which is it's there's 5 stages of change. And a lot of times we think, okay, I'm ready to change. I'm ready to do something different. Let me do it. And just jump right into action, right? And then we fail. Example, this is an easy one everyone relates to. I'm gonna go get me a gym membership. I'm gonna start working out. And because I'm excited about it, I'm gonna do it. And then 3 months down the line, they just getting your money because you ain't been in 2 weeks, right? It's because you jumped right into action. Well, action is
Yes.
actually that fourth stage of change.
Wow.
Okay. So you weren't ready yet. You weren't there yet. And so when you feel mentally like, oh, I failed, it wasn't that you failed. You just started at the wrong step. And
Mm-hmm.
so the 5 steps essentially are pre-contemplation. That's where you're like, I don't know if I'm really ready to change. I'm not even thinking about that. I'm good. Contemplation is where you're like, okay, I think I may want to know something about this. I'm not ready to jump in yet, but I think I might want to know.
Mm.
Preparation is when you're like, okay, now I'm preparing to make a change. I'm not doing the change yet, but I'm preparing. So maybe I'm like scouting out different gyms around the my area, or scouting out different programs, or looking at different nutrition websites or herb websites. Then stage 4 is where you actually start to do the thing. And then stage 5 is where you've been doing it now for 3 months, 6 months, 12 months, and you're maintaining the thing. And so
Mm.
just so people, because I know a lot of times people feel like, man, I'm a failure. I failed at this thing. I wanted it, but I couldn't
Wow.
get it. It's not that you couldn't get it. It's not that you're a failure. You just started at the wrong step. So you just got to
Mm.
back it up a little bit and give yourself smaller actions that are aligned with the stage of change that you're actually in.
That is amazing, amazing. And I'm so into this conversation. Normally I'm taking notes. Can you send me those bullet points so that I can make sure that our viewers get those stages in the description box? Because that was amazing. I haven't even picked up my pen. I'm just so, I just want to say this, I'm so grateful to be in this collaboration here with you, because we get an opportunity to get to, like, I mean, we know each other, but I mean to really like see each other in this stage of our life, because life
Yeah.
happens and we get so busy, and you're in another area and I'm in a different area. And so I think that we've missed out on stuff. We have some powerful conversations, like amazing conversations, and we go on for hours and somebody got to cut it off and run. But I think, I've often thought of this. I said, you know what? I said, some of these conversations, it's amazing when you can, as a parent, and I want to just for just a second, talk to my ladies, my adult ladies that have daughters. The one thing that you can do is allow your daughters to stand on your shoulders and become greater. Sometimes, or oftentimes, I've seen mothers and daughters where the moms get jealous of the daughters because they feel like they didn't accomplish what they wanted to accomplish in their life. And instead of them embracing the daughters and saying, wow, this is my legacy. Like, I get so excited. I feel like my head's going to pop off when I see my daughters doing some amazing things, and I see them growing, and I see them being moms and wives, and I see them doing these things, and business owners. I get so excited about them. And I can't, because of who I am, I can't fathom being jealous of my daughters, but I do know that that is a real thing. So I'm just challenging all of us to be that support to one another. When my daughter teach me things all the time, and I'm grateful, because I say, wow, that's amazing. And she'll say, mom, well, you started that thing, or mom, whatever. And I'm thinking,
Good.
really? Because generationally, technology changes, things change, the way we do business change, all of this change. And so I'm just, embrace your daughters, ladies. Embrace them, love on them, and So I'm grateful that we get to live out loud in front of the world. This beautiful relationship that we have. I'm so proud of you. I am so proud of you.
Thank you, Mama. You gonna make my I got my tissue here just in case I needed it.
I know. I got some over here too, because I know sometimes we do trigger tears with one another. But
Yeah.
truly, truly, I'm excited about where we're going with this, and I just hope that we can bless other people and just showing them, this is the wellness of life, and everything that you're doing, fits in so well, because you're all about wellness as well. I mean, Life Addicts says it all. The name of your company.
Mhm.
So, is there anything that you want to leave us with today?
Um, I think I would say to you, Mom, that I'm really grateful for the opportunity as well to just have these conversations. I was thinking about it as I was getting ready, like, oh my gosh, like I am genuinely excited to get on this call with my mama and just talk about life. Like, I just feel like it's going to be some really, really great conversations. And I hope that it blesses people who have a difficult time having conversations generationally with their family about health, and that it just gives them over time like tips or tools, or like even just the guts or the confidence to speak up and say something or do things differently to really like change their lives. And like you said before, like not just talking about it, but then being about it, and then their family members seeing them as an example of, you know, what it looks like to really live your life in a healthy, you know, way, full of energy and vitality and all the things. So just that, I'm really grateful for the opportunity. Thank you for inviting me onto your platform and just kind of sharing, just sharing your space with me, because you already shared your belly with me. So thanks for sharing your space with
I know y'all. And we were talking about that the other day. We have some funny birthday stories about that one, but anyhow, I think really we've said it all. I'm excited about the journey that we're taking together, and it really does. It blessed my heart, and I'm excited about it. So you all can see, just see us grow together and everything. So until next time, I just want to say, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Share this information with someone else, because there may be some moms and daughters that are having some struggles with working things out together, and we want to be a blessing to them. So don't forget to share. And until next time, make sure that you stay fearless. Bye for now.
me. Bye.